Ashaucha. Ashaucha means if any death or birth takes place in our houses, we should not practice the astrology for 15 days in each death and birth case. Because 10 days for Ashaucha, 11th day for Shuddhi, 12th day for Guru Puja, 13th day for our own Prayaschitta, 14th and 15th day for regaining the Anushtanas or completing the Anushtanas which are left for 10 days, and from very 16th day we can come for prediction. This is most important topic, because in Ashaucha or in Vriddhi or in Jata Shaucha means the Ashaucha comes in birth. The Mrita Shaucha means the Ashaucha which comes in on the cause of a death of a person. We should follow these two things. After death of our family member, we should stop the astrological practice for 15 days. If in case of any birth in our family, we should stop the astrological practice for 15 days. This is one of the main things. And another one is Varshika Puja. Varshika Puja, I think I predicted about this in Shivaratri topic. In all Navaratris, 9 days, a Shivaratri, and the night of this Holy Purnima Ratri, the Falguna Purnima night, this 11 nights and the 2 days of Yugadi, what we discussed yesterday, Mesha Sankramana, on the 2 days of Mesha Sankramana, 11 plus 2, 13 days in a year, we should not practice astrology and we should not predict anything to any client, even if he is having any emergent prediction also. Because on these 13 days, all the Jyotishis are meant to do Japa, Dhyana, Anushtana, Panchanga Puja and Jyotishya Vachaka Vastu Puja. It might be the Jyotishya Granthas, or in Prashna Shastra we use Varatika or the shells. In Hasta Samudrika, the reading glass or anything, the equipments used for Jyotishya must be kept for puja in these 13 days. Note down, 9 days of Navaratri, a day of Shivaratri, a night of Falguna Shukla Purnima, that is Holy Purnima, and 2 days of Mesha Sankramana. In these 13 days, an astrologer should not predict or go with an horoscope or practice his astrology at any condition. If we astrologers check ourselves and regulate ourselves by these 13 days, the whole 365 days, I think 365 minus 13, 352 days. 352 days will be the most successful day of our predictions. In order to maintain this siddhi, the puja in Navaratri, puja in rest of 4 days is mandatory for Jyotishi equipments. It might be Panchanga, Varatika, reading glass or anything which you use for Jyotishya. And the another part is the Jyotishi, while predicting or when he comes to the seat for prediction, he must be Mitabhashi, a limited speaker. He must control his words. He must not speak each and everything before the client or any person. He must regulate his words. And while predicting also, up to what extent the question is asked by the person, that question must be answered within the framework of that question. We must not connect anything exterior from that question. If we ask about the Jyotishya or the future of this year, we must predict only up to this year's limit only. According to Hindu calendar, up to Meena Sankramana. According to English calendar, it is up to December 31st only. We must not try to predict about the forthcoming years. Jyotishya Vachana must have its own framework. It must be regulated by the topics. That's why some of the Jyotishis I had seen, I think they might have done this in order to collect money, but the procedure, only 3 questions will be answered, only 5 questions will be answered, only 2 questions will be answered, that too within limited time. That is one of the ethics of Jyotishya.
But you know, nowadays clients are also very important. So, for example, like we are also doing consultation. So let's say if I have a package of there's one package in which we are going to answer only 3 questions. Okay. So description is very clear. So you have to ask only 3 questions. But what people are doing, they are framing their questions in such a manner. So within that 3 questions, they will ask almost everything. Like for example, first question, tell me about my career for next 15 years. So this is the first question. Second question, tell me about my marriage and marriage date and all, including 15 years of prediction. So like this, they ask 3 questions. Within that 3 questions, they almost ask everything. Now what to do?
If they ask this type of questions, then automatically, because each and every transit of a planet plays an important role.
Correct.
While answering, I'm not pointing out your topic of what we call consultation. In general, I am saying.
Yeah.
If I'm a client and I'm asking you about my marital life, you must answer like this. As I'm having a small problem in my marital life, you must suggest the parihara for that problem, and you must say the samadhana or the prediction like this, that by coming here, the transit of this graha will be done in all horoscopes in overall 360 degree. After that, automatically the horoscope will be having its own different energy. That's why we are having a limit to predict until this date of transit. If you find any difficulties after the transit, you can approach us after the transit of the graha. Because not in this topic, in any topic, we cannot answer for more than 3 years. Because if an eclipse comes in the middle, automatically the total calculation will be ulta. Because as we don't have any fixed calculation for eclipse, when the Panchanga comes, at that time only we can know about the eclipse. That's why, one minute.
Yeah.
That limit, that can be predicted, because it is also said in astrology that the samadhana or the prediction must be given for a client within the framework of astrology. If we ask any question beyond the limits of astrology, we should not answer that type of questions. Because as we have the ethics of an astrologer, we do have an ethics of Pruchaka also, means the client also. He should frame or ask the question within the framework of astrology. That's why in previous days, now and all, we are having astrologers, I think in each district in each taluk, we are having astrologers across India. In previous days, only in the banks of river, or only where the temples were present, only in those places the astrologers were present. At that time, the astrological system was a person should approach the astrologer and should say his problems before him, that we are having this type of difficulties. We are very much interested in asking astrology or getting prediction by you. We should get an appointment from you. At that time, that astrologer should fix an muhurta for that. On this muhurta, I will give you the prediction. The appointment system is, it is not at all a new system in astrology. It is the previous system of astrology. Priorly, the person should approach the astrologer and get the suitable muhurta for astrology. On that muhurta, the prediction was given within the framework of astrology and according to the lagna of that day. This is what now also it is practiced in Ashtamangala Bhaga. In Ashtamangala Bhaga, first the Karta or the Yajamana should approach the person or the Ashtamangalika. At that time, the person sees the muhurta and says and fixes the date of Ashtamangala Prashna. On that date of Prashna, the person who predicts Ashtamangala will be welcomed with a procession of Purna Kumbha Swagata, and he will be done with Pada Puja and all. After worshipping him, he used to start the Ashtamangala Bhaga. This was the very much system to each and every part of astrologer and astrology in previous days. But due to scarcity of time and we had adopted the advanced lifestyle, it is nowadays it is only restricted for this Prashna Bhaga. That's why it is not mandatory for an astrologer to say each and everything that what the Yajamana asks. We must answer within our framework.
Correct. Yeah, can you hear me?
No, now I am hearing you. It was a little bit muted, I think.
That's a net problem. Okay. So also in Prashna Marg and Prashna Anushthan, there is a complete chapter dedicated only for this subject, like how astrologers should behave and with their lifestyle and all these things. So there also mentioned, until and unless if astrologer is not clear with the question, what that client is asking, you should not entertain that question.
100%. Each and every astrologer, the basic ethics of astrologer is in order to protect dharma. Nothing beyond dharma and dharma shastra should be answered. It must be under the framework of the astrology oriented knowledge or the Panchama Veda or the dharma shastra. Nothing beyond that should be answered by an astrologer. If a person if he is asking, he is having heavy Shatru Bada, and if he comes and asks about when does my Shatru is going to die, this is the relevant question. Should we answer these type of questions? As he might be having any rage and rivalry on the person who is treating him as an enemy. But we astrologers, we don't have any. That's why the first part is Sarva Bhuta Daya Shaucham. We should not be prejudiced. We should not decide ourselves by predicting, by knowing, by hearing the one-side story of the client. We must depend on the Lagna Muhurta or the horoscope itself, not by the words of the person or the client. He may say anything, any story before the astrologer, but we must clarify those doubts of him, or we must cross-check his words through the horoscope. If the words of that client and horoscope matches, then we should predict on that point. We should first try to give the knowledge about his present situation to the client. If he agrees with that, then the prediction, we can continue the prediction. If he does not value about the ethics of astrology and the Dharma Shastra, it is really a waste of time to predict those type of peoples. And automatically the karma will be transferred to our account only. Along with the fees and the dakshina, automatically his karma of rage and anger will be transferred to the karma part of ourself.
Correct.
This point is most important and most necessary point, because in what happens in online predictions, we are not having a thorough knowledge about the client who is asking questions. He will send one of his date of birth or time or his horoscope soft copy to our PCs or in the mail IDs or in WhatsApp, and we should see that and predict that. For this type of online predictions, as you said, the restriction in the number of questions is very much okay.
Yeah.
You can follow that.
Also, like this problem, I also have this problem. Like when you do consultation, so it will go on for 2 hours, 3 hours, sometimes 4 hours also. Because in that prediction, what I feel, astrological content is less something kind of a psychological advice.
No,
I think is more. So due to which
there is a permission in astrology to give all such relevant advices to the client. This psychological advice or the dharmika puja advice or the advices in practicing the rituals is very much common, and that we can give. But the extra oriented questions which those people ask us about, as you said, about the 15 years fourth prediction, more than 20 years future prediction, it is totally void. We can't say about those things. A single point can be proved, not the whole life of a person can be predicted. That's why this Jyotisha Vachana was made on the very third day of the new year, on the third day of the Mesha Sankramana. That's why we do Panchanga Shravana on that day. At that time, the predictions of all 12 Rashis are generated. In case we have any queries, we can approach the Jyotishi for an Varshika prediction, Varshika Phala at that time. In some places of Karnataka, that is in Dakshina Kannada, and some places of Kerala, this system of Varshika Phala Bhaga is still present. Some of my friends in Kerala and Dakshina Kannada, they do have clients who approach them in each first week of the new year.
After Panchanga Shravana.
After Panchanga Shravana, the Jyotisha Vachana will be done. Because after Panchanga, seeing Panchanga only, we'll come to know about the eclipse and all. If we say that some person is having Lakshmi Narayana Yoga, and on same Rashi the Grahana takes place, how come Lakshmi Narayana Yoga will be okay and is fruitful for that person who is having the eclipse dosha for 23 days? Correct. In those 23 days, he may lose anything. It might be his all sampati, the business class, or any business deals or anything like that. How can we predict on the forthcoming years of? We can roughly give, it is Jyotishya in the technical word. Jyotishya means it's like Google Map. It narrates you about the direction, but it can't say about the present situation of the road. Whether it is a tar road or concrete road, whether it is having hump or not, whether the signal is present or not, it is up to our journey. What and all we face in traffic, it is left to our karmas. We can judge about the prediction of all the turns, each and every crosses. We can suggest them that in forthcoming years, you must be attentive at this time. You may get hurt by this person. You may have the loss in your business. You can get hurt in your health. This type of cautions can be predicted. And accurately we can say the time also, but not each and everything what he has, what the person asks. We have our own restriction. We should follow those restrictions in order to maintain our knowledge and to come across with this type of problems.
Yes,
and there was a previous Paddhati of a Jyotisha was followed before 200 or 300 years. After each prediction, the Jyotishi was meant to do 1000 Gayatri Japas before seeing next Jataka.
Okay.
He was in some parts of Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. It was a system. Each and every Jyotishi who are in this Jyotishya Vritti, he must do 1000 Gayatri Japas in between the horoscopes of first person and second person. It was a small criteria which was followed, I think, for 200 years it was in practice, it seems. My guru used to say me this about these things, that their grandfathers used to do this type of Jyotisha Vachana in Kerala. It was very much in practice in those times. But nowadays it is very hard to do 1000 Gayatri Japas in a single day, because as that we are very much having the time fastening in these days, it is very hard. But doing 1000 Gayatri Japas per day is most essential for a Jyotishi, because the prediction given by us, it must be effective on those horoscopes who are really suffering a lot. These are some of the basic ethics of astrologer. This should be mandatorily followed by an astrologer in order to have a successful astrological journey and to accumulate the Jyotisha knowledge each day. Because as we are seeing some of the granthas of Jyotisha, but there are many granthas which are not at all been disclosed by any person. Some are in Telugu Lipi, some are in Kannada Lipi, some of the main granthas are in Bengal Lipi, some are in Malayala Lipi. Those granthas are translated by Samskrita Moola Grantha itself, but we are not having those Moola Pratis in our hands. These are all ethics, these are all the common ethics of an astrologer, which the Veda suggests, with the Dharma Shastra suggests, and these are some part of Upanishads, Shikshavalli. In Shikshavalli, we do get this type of what do we get? This type of ethics to be followed in each profession. These are all some of the ethics of astrologer. And coming to the part of your questions, do you have any questions regarding to this ethics of astrologer?
Yeah, like this is already clear, but I will ask one more time this same thing. Maybe something we have left, like when not to take a consultation. Okay, so for this you have suggested us 9 days of Navaratri.
Navaratri.
Shivratri day.
Shivratri, Holy Hunima night.
Okay,
Holy Hunima day.
Today's day.
And 2 days of Mesha Sankranti.
2 days of Mesha Sankranti, including this whenever death and birth
takes place
in the Jyotishi. So for those 13 days, we have to maintain the not to take consultation. Okay, 13 days, no?
For 13 days.
13 days. So these 13 days and these
15 days of in a death and a birth.
Yeah, so all these days are restricted for Jyotishi to go for consultation. Okay, so this is clear. So now, now my next question is children's horoscope. So they say, many people say not to look horoscope of a newly born baby, at least for some says 9 years, some say 11 years. Is it correct? Can we look children's horoscope or not?
Once there is a pramana in Vedas. The first and foremost horoscope must be prepared at the time of birth, before the umbilical cord is cutted by the child.
Okay.
Nalaveshta Chedana. Because
before
the umbilical cord is cutted, that is concerned as the birth time.
Okay.
The horoscope, the time of birth will be at the time the umbilical cord is cutted. At that time, we must form an kundali to see the graha doshas, that's all. To see the graha doshas, panchamarishta, navamarishta, balarishta, or if the kid is born in a Dushta Nakshatra, whether his father should see the face of a baby or not.
Okay, so it
In
means
sometimes,
Arishtas and some selected
nakshatras. Because in some families, the kid will be having the great grandfather, grandfather's father. The kid will be having the grandfather's father. As it is suggested to perform Prapautra Mukadarshana Shanti before looking to the great grandson's face for that great grandfather.
Okay.
In order to maintain this ritual, it is suggested to form a kundali, a small kundali, the Bhava kundali itself, not at all Navamsha kundali, in the first year. But after completion of the first year, the prediction must be written for that kid. Because in the Vedic ceremony, the very 13th day will be the Namakarana Samskara. Jata Karma and Namakarana Samskara will be done accordingly on the 13th day. As we had prepared the basic horoscope of the child, newly born child, we will come to know the Nakshatra, Nakshatra Pada and Janmanama Akshara on the same day. The same will be followed in the 13th day in order for the naming ceremony. After that, by seeing the same horoscope and Janma Nakshatra, the Annaprashana date will be fixed for the 6th month. Annaprashana. Annaprashana. And after 6 months, in the 11th month or in the 13th month or in the 3rd year, the Chaula Samskara, the hair removing ceremony for the first time for a baby, it might be girl or a boy. For that muhurta, the horoscope is most important. It means after completing one Janma Nakshatra, if a person born in Punarvasu Nakshatra of Kartika Masa, after completing the forthcoming years Punarvasu Nakshatra of Kartika Masa, we should prepare the detailed horoscope of a kid. By seeing that horoscope, we should fix the date of Chaula, that is hair removing ceremony, and Aksharabhyasa, and the date of Upanayana also. Because 5th to 8th is a very valid year for Upanayana for a person. Nowadays, many of people are neglecting this Upanayana Samskara in the very early age. But in the ancient years, all the 4 Varnas, Brahmana, Vaishya, Kshatriya, Shudra, all these 4 Varnas were having Upanayana. At that time, the preparation of detailed horoscope in the very first year, after completion of first year, was mandatory. We can have that detailed horoscope at the first year, and we can predict on that horoscope about its studies, about its knowledge in Vedanta or Laukika Vidya, and about its ashramas also. Because in previous days, the age of marriage was 12. Age of marriage was 12. Within 12 years, the boy used to get, will be come with an Varnashrama, what we call, will be come with an Grasthashrama Sankara by the parents itself. Nowadays, it is having no limits.
And obviously, we
in order to make or point out all these predictions, we should prepare, and it is mandatory to prepare the horoscope after completion of first year. It is not like that to see or predict after 9 years or 10 years, because within 9 years,
all these samskaras for fixing the model, we need the horoscope. So we
need the horoscope.